approached him when we hired him to get to know our community. Well, he has immersed himself in Oldham County. He is serving on the American Red Cross Board of Directors, member of South Oldham Rotary, and he's also a member of the Oldham County Chamber Board of Directors. He also has made time to advocate strongly in Frankfurt for public school finances. I know that he's going to touch base with you on the work that is going on right now in the district about the strategic planning that we're doing. He has taken on a monumental task to guide the district in developing a strategic plan, but he has engaged every group of stakeholders in the work. And the last thing I would share with you is that Dr. Radford is a leader who understands that the school district is the backbone of a strong community, but it takes a community to support the school district in order for us to be a great school district. So I give you Jason Radford.
Madam Chair, I really appreciate those kind of words. I don't do really well when folks talk about about myself. I don't do very well with that, but very humble to be here with you. Thank you. Very proud to work with our Board of Education who pushes our district, who pushes me and nudges on us to be the very best for our community. You all know Brent Dees. I was one of our assistant superintendents. I'm very proud of the work that our team at the district office and across our district is doing every day to support students. We'll talk about that. I heard one of you mention about the sunshine and the weather. I remember when I was principal about 25 years ago, I was doing my rounds and I'm walking, getting ready to do morning duty, and I had a teacher from Oklahoma. And I said, Jeff, how are you doing this morning? I said, what do you know? He said, well, I know I woke up, saw the sun, took a breath, life's good. And I said, okay, well, what else do you know? He said, well, I know a 100-pound flour cup will make a big biscuit. I said, I don't know. So I'm like, okay, what else? I said, well, what else do you know besides that? He said, well, I take a lot of gravy to cover it. I said, well, I just get all over. So it's great to see the sunshine, and it's great to be here, and very appreciative of your time. Get into a few things. Last year at May or June, the board did my evaluation. And during that process, they said, Jason, we want you to paint a picture for us as a district about what are the things we're going to focus on for the 22-23 school year. All right, we're in the midst of strategic planning, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So these are our 4 priorities for this school year. So I'll touch on these just briefly. World-class learning opportunities. We want to focus on exemplary teaching and learning. Just really being able to get back to the basics of being able to support our students when it comes to student learning and move that forward. I have some really good news to share about how our district is progressing. You may have seen that on social media. The other thing I'm really excited about, just very quickly, is we're really working hard to create pathways, to work on the pathways that we currently have and what other pathways we might need to have when it comes to student experience. We want to connect the student's passion to a pathway when we talk about their experience when they come through our system and they reach high school, right? So we're really working hard on that. The state legislature gave us an increase in CTE, which is career technical education funding, to be able to support that. So I'm really excited about that as we kind of really dig into, we've asked our kids, what is your aptitude? What is your interest? Using data to help drive what we're going forward. The next big priority is revenues and expenses, the budget process. We want to make sure that we're really mindful about how we spend taxpayer dollars to support student learning and our school district moving forward support staff. We all know that staffing is an issue, and that's something that we worked hard to overcome, but we still have work to do. Systems of support. I'll talk a minute. One of these things with systems of support are strategic planning. I'll touch on that here in a few moments. Leadership development and employee engagement. Leadership development speaks to everyone in our school system as a leader. So how do we grow them as with where they are and anyone who wants to aspire for the next step? How do we do that? We want to grow our own and being able to engage with them and be able to grow them. Employee engagement. This is something I'm pretty passionate about. when it comes to employee engagement. 25 years ago, I started teaching. This is a strong belief that I have, and really just trying to do a lot of research about where we are coming out of the pandemic. But 25 years ago, I started as a teacher in Scott County schools in Georgetown, Kentucky. And I remember my experience when I started, I felt like, and it was kind of unspoken to me, that when you started, you had to prove yourself to the school district. That was kind of the unspoken expectation, that you're going to show your value and get it done. Now, coming out of the pandemic, it's shifted. The organizations, both private and public, that do really well will be those that thrive. And those that thrive will be those that have turned that on its head, that have proven themselves to the employees that currently work in their organization. And that's something that we really got to be, that we're really trying to dig into. And that's more to come on that. The other priorities, culture and climate. We want to just strengthen relationships and improve communication. I don't think we can ever make an A+ in communication, but I do think we can grow, we can improve with that. Share some celebration. Share some of this through social medias and some communications come out from our district, but our district composite ACT score is up 0.8 points. This is a big deal. 0.4 is statistically significant. To raise the composite as a district, 0.4 for anyone is statistically significant. To double that is huge. All 3 high schools saw an increase in average ACT scores in all 5 content areas. That's a big, big deal. Our KSA is the new state assessment data that just released in October. It's changed 4 or 5 times in my career. It'll probably change again before I'm 1 or 2 more times before I'm done, before I retire. But data puts Owen County schools in the top 10 districts in the state, top 3 county systems. We are moving in the right direction. Several schools, including 3 of our middle schools, 2 of our high schools, were classified overall as very high performing. As a district, we're very high performing or high performing in terms of state assessment data. Just keep in mind, that's a snapshot. That happened over a week period of time in the month of May. We have, some of our schools are right on the cusp of being in that high or very high performer. Our students with disabilities is an area for us to be able to really work on, to move forward. That's a growth area for us. But very proud of the celebration that we have. And that's as a result of the hard work of our staff and students, our board and our school district maintaining in-person learning every day last year. I will tell you, this year's hard. I mean, we have staffing challenges. We'll touch on that in a moment, but last year was really hard. It was difficult to be able, some days, to be able to keep school open every day, make the buses run. But we did it. But we did that together, and that's as a result of a lot of commitment from everyone. So the backbone, as you all know, is our people and our community. All right, strategic planning. Our school district has partnered with Student Education. Why Student Education? I believe in my time and my travel and my career that they have the best tools, many tools in the toolbox to help facilitate that. I don't believe, and our school district, our board doesn't believe that one person can facilitate strategic planning if we're going to be able to have a comprehensive collective input about what's the path forward over the next 3 to 5 years. So in the last several weeks, we have met with more than 270 people face to face. We have really dug into what's going to be able to help our district move forward. Strategic planning starts with the Board of Education and ends with the Board of Education. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. We've engaged all groups of our employees, students, parents, and community members. We've met in this room. We've had a luncheon. We've done lots of input and lots of several conversations. And I'll show you one of my favorite. All these pictures I've really appreciated the time I spent with everyone, but the best is meeting with students. In the top left, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but the top left, we met with students at all 3 high schools. Best conversations, some of the best part of my day is being able to talk to our kids. You know what the kids said? Kids were hungry. Let's go. Let's move. And they talked to us about the things that would help them be able, and that's why we're here. Surveys. We're surveying. We just sent out surveys to parents and caregivers. Those are apolitical questions about the experience that you have and how we can support our parents and caregivers across the district. And so then what will be next after Thanksgiving will be our students and our staff. both certified and classified support staff. That's a big deal. And this will also help shape our district mission and vision. One of the things that we believe is that if for us to be able to move our district forward, if we have the best visions are not my vision, it's shared, or shared visions, to be able to have shared values. When we have to make a tough decision, what values are we going to use to help drive that decision? And that's what we hope to come out of it. Okay, so these are the 4 questions when I mentioned that starts with the board and ends with the Board of Education. So I want to kind of put you all collectively on the spot, not any of you individually. But what are some strengths of Oldham County schools? Anybody care to share? What are some strengths of our school system?
I think long-standing reputation of being a solid school district.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
I think the safety.
Safety.
It's safe cinema.
Okay, thanks, Kara.
Got parent involvement.
Okay, parent involvement. Okay, awesome. Yes, sir. Good facilities. Thank you.
You have a lot of good teachers.
A lot of good teachers. Absolutely. Agree. Anybody else?
I think the community contributes a lot to that too.
Yes.
Not just parents, but neighbors. I mean, there's still a lot of mutual support.
Absolutely. Great. Okay, the next question, opportunities for improvement. So let me just, I want to touch on this twofold. I won't take you through the entire process just because for sake of time. But the 4 things that we talked about when we met with these different groups of people that you've heard me speak about: improving teaching and learning, retaining high quality employees, better serving our parents and community, safety and efficiency. What are some areas where we can improve among those 4 items? Anybody have anything that you would care to share? Where can we improve? Yes, sir.
The pay structure of Oldham County versus your next door neighbor, Jefferson County, it makes it really hard to retain and maintain high quality employees.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Pay structure.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Improving some of the programs for helping some of the students have hard time reading.
Okay.
I know we have a lot of student, some student loss anyway.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So improving what we do to overcome the gaps that we might have with reading in other places. Okay. Good. Anybody else?
I want to think outside the box, reinstitute studies of ethics.
Studies of ethics. Can you elaborate on what you mean on that?
Yes, we have a cultural crisis where people in high positions of leadership in all areas of our country are struggling with what's right and what's wrong. And they took ethics out of schools a long time ago. And now we're paying the price. We've got to start teaching ethics.
Okay.
We've got to start getting people to think about bioethics, business ethics, medical ethics. These are hard questions in modern times, and most adults are equipped to deal with them, much less our students who are one-day be adults. But let's be trendsetters. Let's teach our children, our young people, how to think ethically and morally.
Okay.
Now that's a hard one because we're trying to say that we're not a Christian nation anymore, struggling with God fearing and all of that. But nonetheless, those questions need to be faced. We need to find a way to do it.
Thank you.
That is correct.
I think social media is something, I don't know where our school system currently is right now because I don't have any of the kids. I have some grandkids that are still in the system. But social media has really been a challenge. And it's taken us off path, taken us in crazy ways. I didn't know what your thought process would be on dealing with that within our school system as the do's and the don'ts of social media.
Okay. I'll speak to that in a moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Working at University of Louisville, there was a lot of students that didn't even know how to address an envelope or write a check or balance a checkbook or understood what money is, what cash is. And it sounds kind of crazy to me. It was real. Students of University of Louisville that I had to help address.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I was gonna kind of piggyback on that. Adult learning was one that we had. I remember in school, that was one of the most valuable classes I ever took. just kind of learn how to do those kinds of things. Just thinking through planning out for tasks in life. And related to that, I know this was a problem years ago. I can't imagine it's gotten better, but creative problem solving. There's just a huge gap in students' ability, and a lot of adults these days too, to be able to really rationally think through problems and how they go about solving those, work together to do that.
That's something I've really been working with. We've really been trying with our co-op, our regional co-op, who helps support the school districts in our region about what are the things, what are the soft skills that we really need to focus on as a region. And certainly we've done some work within our district about that, but how can we be able to, that gets into, if you connect a passion to a pathway, but you know what are those skills, if we can teach you how to do the job, we need to have these soft skills to be able to problem solve, communicate well as they can. Yes, ma'am.
Kind of piggyback even on what Al said. Leadership. Molly Spearman recently met with the superintendents of all the states in the country, proposing a program that she has implemented in South Carolina with great success in terms of improving behavior, character development, leadership development, bringing unity instead of division among the students and the faculty members. And she is recommending that to every state to implement that program. I'd love to see if Kentucky doesn't do it, why doesn't Oldham County take the lead and do it? And that it's a win. It's been nothing but a win. It's changing countries. It's changing lives everywhere.
Okay. Thank you. I'll come back to Mike's question about recently, beginning of the school year, just on the other side of this the divide here. We met with our community council, which is our parents representing our schools, each of our schools. And they said, well, Jason, how are we doing? How's the school district going? How has the school year started off? And my response to them was really at that time was we're really just trying to build some momentum. We're trying to get up off the mat and respond to what's been very challenging. Our staff has really done that. But one of the things that we've really talked about with our folks is even, and so this gets into social media. So when you asked me that question, this is what I thought about, was that we need to have gratitude for where we are. We need to take a positive approach for how we solve problems, but we don't glass over the problems, but we need to have a positive approach, and we need to take 30 extra seconds to elevate someone else. And if something pops up, if somebody sees something that's not right, draws a question, maybe is a tad bit upsetting, before you go and post something on social media, find out more information. Do the Paul Harvey effect. Get the rest of the story before you post something that's not necessarily only partial or part of the story. Now, while you all may not be part of that, we can collectively help that, because you know who sees those negative things are two big key groups of people: our staff and our kids. And the reason we're here is for our kids. And if we want to have the best, then we need to be able to help do that across the way. Yes, sir.
I'm speaking for myself. But I feel like with the automatic 4% tax increase that's been given every year, we who are business owners are being hit. It's just like everybody else, but it's been an automatic 4% almost every year. And we need to have more, at least, community involvement from the business community involvement in those taxes. We just can't continue to throw money at our problems without seeing the results of the problems being relieved.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, and thank you for sharing that. I'll touch on that in a moment here, in a few slides from that, but thank you for that. Okay, I want to jump to the last question, just for the sake of time. Think about what words do you want to hear when people describe their service and experience. I want to highlight service and experience. What words would you want people to hear when they describe their service and experience at Oldham County Schools? If you're at Kroger, if you're at Walmart, if you're getting gas at the pump. Personalized. Supportive. Commitment.
College ready.
College ready. Okay.
Life ready.
Life ready. Okay. College ready. Anybody else? saw some Ms. Fletcher speak about having all day. I could probably talk quite a good chunk of the day because one of the things that you heard me mention was about world class. I really think we want to strive to be world class, but to me, world class means that if graduation is May 31st, that every student's ready for June 1st, not in the region, not in Kentucky, not in the United States, but to compete for whatever job they desire with any student, their peer in the world. That's world class, not May 31st, but June 1st. Okay. Thank you for that. Let me talk a little bit about revenues and expenses. The board approved a $1,500 stipend almost not quite a year ago, last year, for all full-time employees. Almost, and a $500 stipend for our part-time employees. That cost the district about $3 million. The board approved a 3% salary increase plus step. Okay, step is if you go from step 1 to step 2 in 30 years of experience. That's, from a financial perspective, that's essentially a 4% increase. Okay, so 3% plus step, because a step is equivalent to 1%, if you're with me. The board asked us, and they asked me to identify ways to sustain the raises that we gave, 3% plus step, and do more, to the comment that was made earlier about being competitive. To start this school year, we did not fill district-wide positions and a savings of $200,000 to start this current school year. So there are several positions at the district level that we did not fill, and so we have saved monies. We are being very judicious as a district about our expenses. So let me just elaborate on that. We've advocated for 3 things from the state going back to just over a year ago, last January. We advocated as a school district and collectively as superintendents across the state for funding all-day kindergarten. Because the reason that we're here is for student learning, and it starts with our youngest learners, even going to preschool. That's another conversation. Fully funding transportation, increasing seat.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. Thank you. So funding all-day kindergarten, we got that. All right. So really, we had already budgeted for that, but we wanted to make sure that stayed. That's a big deal. Increasing SEEK, I'll jump to that one. They gave every school district got an increase of $100 per student. For Oldham County, $100 per student is not really $100. It's about $60, $60 to $70 per student. And I'll show you why here in a moment. Fully funding transportation. We were funded transportation about 55%. They raised it to 15%, and it really worked out to be 68.9% funding of transportation that we got from the state. So that other 30% and some change, that left about $2.5 million on the table that we did not get, that we were advocating hard for, all right, in order to help our community and our school district in terms when we think about revenues, which are taxes, right? So we got some, but we did not get all of that. So I say that to say this, we advocated for these 3 things. We got 2 out of the 3, 2.5 out of 3. We worked hard as a district to look at our departments, expenses, budgets where we could save. We looked at district-wide positions. And so we're working hard to be very judicious. And also kind of talk about a couple of things here when it gets into revenues and expenses. An example. If we were doing we could do a class, a semester-long class on the SEEK formula. All right. And I won't do that. All right. But it could take quite a while to be. It's complex. But I want to give you an example of, and it goes back to the gentleman's question about taxes. I'm just about looking at our historical perspective. Our board has taken 4% every other year, almost, roughly. It may not work out exactly, but that's kind of the rhythm that historical perspective has been. So part of SEEK is to provide what's called a 30-cent local effort. So our property values in Oldham County, you can't compare Oldham County to any other counties because every county is different. Our property values go up, have gone up each of the last couple of years that I've, and even beyond that. But you take 30 cents, 0.30, and you multiply that times the revenue that the property taxes have generated. In FY22, that was $23,803,000. FY '23, the local efforts went up to $25,233,151. What is local effort? Local effort is that money is taken and redistributed through the seed formula to other school districts in the state of Kentucky. That's how the state addresses equity. So that money is paid for by taxpayers in Oldham County. But that money is getting redistributed. If you do the difference between those two, from those 2 years, the difference is 1.4, just over $1.4 million. Go with me? The board approved a 4% increase, which 4% is not essentially 4%, but that is how the state uses the language in the formula. So it went from 80 cents to 81.2 cents, 1.2 cents. It generated an additional $896,000 for our school district. So we recouped about 65% of our monies. That's the other 45% is going to, or 35% is going to somewhere else in the state of Kentucky. So I'm not sure you all, some of you are business leaders and community leaders. You know, we also have to we're here because of students, and we also have to support our school district. So it puts us in a really tough spot. So we're really advocating across our county to be able, what else can we do to try to take some pressure off our rooftops? Because we need to generate some advanced manufacturing. We need to look at some things to be able to help even the playing field. We're working hard on that. Let me pause there. Questions?
Jason,
Yes, ma'am.
could you also share with everybody how much just a 1% increase for our staff?
It's about $1 million.
It's $1 million. So even that 4% does not cover a 1% salary increase. That goes to the question, Robin. We're working hard to make
Well,
salaries competitive.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're not working
Sure.
hard. It's just, it's a reality.
Sure,
Yeah, that's the
absolutely.
reality. And Tom, we have not taken 4% every year.
Okay,
There are several years we have not.
okay, so I'll, that just was what was brought up, 2% every year. And what we don't calculate, I'm coming to you from a real estate point of view, what we don't calculate is that it's about a 25%, wasn't quite that much, but every 4 years, our property values in Oldham County have gone up 25% in the last 4 years. So if we're taxing the property values fairly, then there's a 25% income increase every 4 years, but you can round it out. But the way we're taxing right now is once every 4 years, the property valuation law goes around, and they just effectively do a whatever percent of that area and bump it. And that, so there's cash coming in. And when we're dealing with the Harvard School of Business, everything's based on percentages. And when we're dealing with the kitchen table, especially this year, there's people that will not be able to fund. And I don't get out every morning in school bus time, but I hate to see the fact that we're hauling buses with 4 or 5 kids on them, and we're buying the biggest buses available to our state highways, and we'll have 4 or 5 kids on, going to and from school, not the other things, but 4 or 5 schools. You know, we've got to look at those kind of expenses, because, and I know the state law, and I talked with a little bit with some of the others about the state law. If a kid within 1 mile school district, supposed to get, or 1 mile more, they're supposed to get a ride on a school bus, and they have to have a seat, whether the parents ever use that school bus seat or not.
Right.
And then we're out here packing our schools, and right now you're working on having to increase traffic flow, the county is, because the parents are bringing their kids back and forth to school. And if we were using school buses as mass transit, we would not be having some of those issues in our county. And those are the kinds of things that I'm seeing as a citizen.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that, and I respect what you have to say. I wish I could get a little bit more detail just because of time, but
Yeah.
I can assure you that we're very judicious about how many students are riding buses, and it may be the beginning of a route. But if any of you know anyone who wants to, is looking for a position, some part-time. One way you saw this, have more bus drivers.
That's
We can
right.
maximize how we roll.
Right.
Pardon the kind of
Yeah.
the response, but I can appreciate that.
Jason, can I just quickly comment on that, though? When you talk about a 4% increase, how much is the district getting? He just said it. We're only getting 2/3 of that. A third of that gets sent out. So I think part of this goes back to, we need to work with our legislature to say, listen, many counties aren't taking 4%, and yet they're benefiting off of the backs of every increase we have. So we need to be looking at that saying, hey, if we're gonna take up 4%, you know what? Let's keep 4%.
The unfunded mandates that the school board has to deal with, that the county got, the fiscal court has to deal with, that the city councils, the unfunded mandates are the issues that are beyond, because everybody says, oh, we'll just get that money from the state, or, oh, we'll get that money from the feds. Well, where does that money originally come from? And nobody's paying attention to that.
I can tell you, I had a conversation about 6 or 8 months ago with the state leader about this very thing. And he said, well, Jason, do you want other districts in the state of Kentucky to have to close their doors? I said, well, respectfully, I'll say that it's not my responsibility. Our responsibility is to provide the very best product, which is our students and their experience and their learning to our community and our parents.
Right.
I said, so you could help. And so it should be the state or something that's their responsibility. So that's more, I appreciate it. It's very passionate to talk about being able to do the very best you can in the times that we're currently working in. I definitely respect that. All right, I want to share, the last thing I want to share with you is that this last slide is, this is a small little video there that's aerial, but the LPC, the local planning committee, is made up of community leaders. I'm on that committee, but I'm not a voting member, staff members, that really assess our facilities and what our needs are. So the board started the approval process for stadium improvements. You see that at the bottom of the screen. The local planning committee is in the final stages of their work. And so I'm really optimistic that we'll have a district facility plan, make a recommendation to the Board of Education as early as December that really outlines, because we want to highlight academics, the arts, and athletics. One of the key places, one of the key things that you see around, well, the reason athletics is there is because House Bill 678 was passed that allowed us to be able to support our athletics in a way that we've not been able to for quite a long time. And so we want to be able, school does not stop after 4 o'clock, but we want to make sure that we also support, we're here for learning. So our needs across our district really support the needs of our buildings, whether we have some aging facilities, some facilities that need renovation, or that need to be even replaced. So we're working hard on that, but our board cannot take action until we really have that solid plan. And it also builds us a budget so that we can be very judicious with our funds. Now, here's something to clarify. When you see this information about whether it's academics, the arts, or athletics, this is not programming, this is facilities. But we cannot use those funds to pay for teacher or staff raises. And I think that's sometimes a misnomer. Those are restricted funds.
Right.
But one of the strengths of our school district is because of COVID, we're flat in terms of enrollment. We haven't lost a lot. We're still pretty flat, but one of the strengths is our ability to be able to renovate and have capital construction projects and to be able to support our students. So we're in position really well. So I'm really anxious, very excited to talk about the things that we can do. And to be honest, these are all things for kids. This is not for one adult in this room. This is for kids. And not really, and that's why we're here. So I'm really excited to be able to talk about those kinds of things. And the last piece is a better school system just makes for a great, tremendous community. Everybody wins. I'm very blessed to be here and very blessed to be part of this community in the school district. So thank you all.